bombs are being done by the administration that was installed by the Americans. They want you to think it's insurgents or Al-Qaeda, so it massively undermines the bogus story that they put forward, so they don't report it. And by the way, Press TV, which they've banned from the UK, the Iranian news channel, has a lot of, will expose a lot of these type of stories. Now, media diversion. I said before that I believe that the phone hacking scandal wasn't a scandal. It was a diversion. I'm going to explain a huge, huge anomaly in this story, which tells you that it doesn't hang together. There's something wrong with it. And you've got to realize that Murdoch is far more shrewd and clever than you think. He would not allow himself to be put in front of a panel like this and be grilled. In my opinion, he is acting, and he has orchestrated the events to put himself there. Okay, and I'll explain why I think he is behind him being grilled, right? When the story broke last year, it came about, the closing of the News of the World came about because of 3 stories which broke 3 days in a row. On the 5th of July, they said the News of the World had hacked $1 million phones. Now, first point out, phone hacking is listening to messages that other people have left. It's not listening to people talking or conversations. So someone leaves you a message, it's in your mailbox. If you haven't set a password on your mobile phone, if someone else knows your mobile phone number, they can dial a number and they can retrieve that message. This is what they were doing. Okay, now I'm not saying it's right, but that's what it is, listening to messages. That's what they mean by phone hacking. Now, on the 6th of July, the following day, it was revealed that the Soham families, the 2 girls that were murdered, their parents' phones had been hacked. And then the following day, oh, Madeleine McCann's parents. Now, immediately I see that just looks like a psyop to me. It's a psychological operation. What it's doing is it's pulling at your heartstrings. All these little girls that have either been murdered or gone missing, 1, 2, 3 after the other. You're pulling at your heartstrings. You're not critically analysing what's really going on here. Now, because of this supposed scandal, on the 8th of July in the press, it was announced that the News of the World would have to close because this is such a scandal, okay? And this article here, this is in the Telegraph, this was at 7:17 p.m. on the 7th. So it broke very late on the 7th. That was when the decision was made that the News of the World would have to close. Now, it says here in this article that speculation was mounting last night that News International was already planning to launch The Sun on Sunday as an alternative newspaper to replace the News of the World. What do you need? You need a domain name. You need to buy a domain name. The domain name for The Sun on Sunday.co.uk and .com was purchased on the 5th of July. Now, if it was purchased on the 5th of July, that means probably the decision in that organisation has been made before the 5th of July. They're going to buy that domain name. So that means they knew those 3 stories were going to come out in the news to force it to close. That, in turn, makes me think that Murdoch was behind those stories. And you might say, well, why would he do that? Why would he do that? The reason why he would do that is because you ask, what is Rupert Murdoch's real crime? All of his news organisations have not told the truth about 9/11 and 7/7. So he is an accessory to murder as far as I'm concerned, right? Because he's covering up murder in his news organisations, okay? That's a pretty serious crime. And if you look at the date, the 7th of July, when the phone hacking supposed scandal was at its height, what's that date? It's the anniversary of 7/7, when we had Tony Farrell, a principal police intelligence analyst, coming out saying that it had been done by the government. So we had all of these headlines on our papers. We didn't have anything about 7/7. So in my opinion, it's a smokescreen. It's a bit like, let's say you want to burgle a shop, and you're a burglar. You're gonna get all the money out the safe, okay? So you're there, you're burgling it. Someone sends some children in to steal some sweets, and they ring the police. And the police are chasing after the kids who've stolen the sweets. There's a guy in the back, and he's helping himself to the safe. So they put one crime in front of another crime, which is much lesser, and they blow that smaller crime out of all proportion, which is the phone hacking scandal, psyop, okay? So they can blow that story out, so no one's really getting to the real story, the crimes of 7/7, accessory to murder. That's what our mainstream media are. It's a complete diversion, in my opinion, the phone hacking thing. They wanted something to put on the table that they could massively exaggerate. I think, what, one person's gone to prison over it, maybe? It's not a huge crime if you think about it. No one's died because of it. It's not the same as covering up the murder of 56 innocent British people. That's what they're covering up. That is a massive crime compared to phone hacking. Okay, and their psychological operations are endless in the media. When one of the completely innocent supposed suicide bombers lost his life, what they did, he worked in a bookshop called the ICRA Learning Centre. This was in Beeston, where he lived. I think it was in 2001. They sent some police officers and the media to that bookshop where he had worked. And it was selling things like John Pilger DVDs and 9/11 truth videos. And what they did, the police got there and they said, right, we're going to break your door down. We're going to raid it. And the guy who was standing there with his key said, no, I'll open the shutters for you. You can have a look around. We've got some John Pilger DVDs, what have you. The police said, no, we're going to break the door down. And the media cameraman was standing there, break the door down with the guy standing there with his key. And the following day, in the newspaper, Islamic fundamentalist bookshop raided by the police, who this supposed bomber worked at. That's called a psychological operation. And our newspapers are full of those bogus stories.